Virginia Tech plus 5.5. You can keep those points. We don't even need them.
2-1 last night. 2-0 the night before.
That thing to break over the middle of the plate.
I think he stepped out either.
Let's go to Arby's.
All right, here we are. Saturday night special. We don't do a lot of Saturday nights, but here we are because we got NFL football tomorrow. We've got Nappy here with us, going to give us a few props for tomorrow. Quick update on today, really quick. 3-0-1 in the Bulls today. And two, we're going to call it 2-1 in hockey. We're going to call the Minnesota Wild a loser. They're down 6-2 after 2. There's no chance in hell they're scoring 5 goals in the third period. They've been completely dominated. It's an embarrassment for them. I cannot believe they came out this flat. St. Louis is better than them tonight. I mean, they're beating them to every puck. This St. Louis team could be dangerous. I mean, I've played them a bunch, and they're good. This Western Conference is going to be good. It's going to be tough. We knew that, but you'd think Minnesota Wild. Not why I played them was because of the home team in this game, but I had them winning this game pretty easily, actually. So this is a tough loss here. But that's that. So it's a winning day. It's a good day. So now we'll turn the page to tomorrow. There's one more bowl game tonight, Baylor against Mississippi. I like Baylor, but I'm not playing it. I'm done for the day. I feel like got a little lucky in that Kentucky push. Got a little lucky there with Utah. They make the tackle to 2-yard line. Ohio State, for some reason, calls a timeout with 12 seconds instead of letting it go down to like 3 seconds, but with no more timeouts. So it's a weird thing, but we got that. So I'm going to take my winnings where we are for the day, and we're going to turn the page to tomorrow, and Nappy's got a recap of what he's got from last week. I saw the sheet. There's a lot there.
Yeah,
So,
I went bananas last week. I did a Turk and just said, we're gonna bet the board. So basically, what happened was actually run it back, run to week 16, Patrick. We basically that's it. So if you played everyone straight, it was a little over 8 units. The big one was Thursday night, right? We put out those 6 picks and 5 picks. Elio actually sent them out and said, hey, give this guy a follow. And I was showing you guys the next day. A lot of guys just not only took all 5, but put them in a parlay, except for the kicker. And those 4 paid out plus 1,000. I had like 4 or 5 guys shoot me their tickets. And then, I mean, you know how this works, on Twitter. Guys wanted more, because we had the standalone game on Christmas. Then we had the standalone night game. Wanted some more. Didn't hit them as well on Saturday, but we hit that plus 370. So that ended up being a positive game. The only real stinker, and it wasn't bad, was the Saturday night game. We hit a plus 175. And then Sunday went bananas again. Just missed the Dawson Knox parlay for plus 750, right? So we had Josh Allen over his touchdown passes and yards. We had Dawson Knox score a touchdown. He could have had 3. And we missed his receiving yards. Sony Michel hit that. Antonio Brown hit that. Big Ben to throw a pick, hit that. The Mixon one was a killer because he didn't go over 70.5 rushing and the touchdown, which would have paid 180, but he had like 75 or 80 yards receiving on top of. And then we fizzled at night with Najee Harris and Dak Prescott. All in all, though, I mean, to play that many games, and come out, ahead, plus 8 units was pretty good. It could have been, 20 yards from Dawson Knox. It was a 15-unit day. Didn't happen, but it was there. So we're going to do the same thing, right? There's no Thursday night game. So I get basically the whole slate to look at. And what I found was like guys that have burned me early in the year, like Joe Mixon was well on his way to hitting a prop, right? He just missed me last week. I did hit 2 out of 3 with him. but he got hurt earlier in the year. He's the pick I like the most to score a touchdown. They're playing Cincy -152. It's obviously reflected in the line. It's about as big as a line as I like to play. And so this will just kind of stick to the games. But Joe Mixon to score, Jamar Chase, and Travis Kelce. I like them all individually. I feel pretty good you're going to go 2-1. Pretty good value if you parlay them. I tried to kind of bracket them. So you'll see Mixon, Chase, Kelce plus 850. That's kind of the first one of that Chiefs Bengals game, which is one of the better games of the week. The next grouping there, guys I've been on pretty much all year. We lost to Amon-Ra St. Brown early. We were like a week or two too soon. The guy's been red hot. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. He's plus 230 to score. Jarrett Patterson for Washington. He's the only healthy back there. He's plus 123. And then Agumbawale used to play for the Buccaneers. He's the only healthy back in Jacksonville. He's plus 200. Now, all three of those I like individually. I really like them parlayed. I obviously don't expect it to hit. I think you go 1-2, 2-1, but why not for almost 2,400? You need 3 touchdowns to hit 2,400, and in three cases, they're the best offensive players on the field, or they will be the best offensive players this week because of COVID and everything else. And I know, Jacksonville's got a tough matchup against the Pats. They're big dogs, but it doesn't matter how he scores. It could be late, it could be rushing, it could be receiving. So we like those. Jonathan Taylor under this week. I like the whole line's coming back from injury. That most of them are out with COVID or other injuries last week. Wentz is banged up or has COVID. If you look at how these guys have played post COVID, it hasn't been great. Tyreek Hill, I think, had 2 catches last week. Even though he played, he got cleared. These guys getting cleared on Saturday and Sunday aren't playing that well. David Montgomery, I like both his unders. Debo, we had these last week, rushing and receiving, although we went over on the receiving yards last week. I like the under again because Elijah Mitchell's going to be back. So they're going to have Mitchell. They're going to have Jeff Wilson. That's a line that's just based off, what he's been doing. And we just hit that last week. I think it was 32.5. He had 32. So we got a little lucky there. He did have, one nice run. But I don't think they're going to be running him much against Houston. I think that's a game they're massive favorites in, even though they have Trey Lance. Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, 2 guys I like. We hit Ayuk last week to score on Thursday night. And then I like, kind of these unders on Dak and these pro Zeke Elliott bets. I had them. I didn't. The one bet I didn't release last week was Zeke Elliott to score 2 touchdowns. Wasn't on my sheet. I took it myself, and that hit. That paid 230. So I had a great week because I had all the ones we played and then ones we didn't. But I had Dak Prescott unders. They should, I think handle Arizona. Arizona's pretty good against the quarterback, so I'm going right back to the well. The under 1.5 plus 175. The under his yards, and if it's a Zeke game, and I think it will be, that's the richest parlay. It only pays plus 550. But on all these, I'm playing them straight, and I'm going to put them in parlays as well because it's like we said. I mean, we've had a pretty good year on these. If you go back, I don't have kind of a cumulative unit, but I feel like more often than not, there's more green than red when we do these recaps. We hit 2 big parlays this year. It's the last week, of the season. I don't think next week's going to be that easy to handicap. It could be, but we'll see who needs to play for what. But this is really the last real week, I feel like. And so why not take a shot? It's like you said this morning, Tark, it's going to be raining all day tomorrow. Just a great day to sit inside and make a few plays,
That's what I've done today. Yeah, I went to the grocery store for a little while. I went to the grocery store to change it up because I wasn't getting a lot of goals in those hockey games. As soon as I got there, they just lit the lamp up, and I came out, and both games had gone over. So it's perfect.
Well, I didn't tell you because one of the games that you had at 5.5, when I looked, it was 6, and I'm like, I missed it, so I didn't do it. Would have hit. And then I did tell you on Wisconsin. I had Bama in a parlay yesterday, but when you came out and took Wisconsin, I said, you know what? I got a funny feeling, Elio's play didn't hit. I got a funny feeling that Turk's going to come through here and knowing nothing really about Georgia, rather. I said Wisconsin.
I was going to say, I don't remember playing Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, Georgia.
It was.
Red team.
Yeah, Georgia. I thought it's just what I thought, and I like Michigan, but I just didn't believe in them. And I just think, I think a lot of that number was based on and the public coming on Michigan, and it was all just because Bama humiliated Georgia again, and everyone's like, Georgia's not very good. And we'll see what Georgia can do against Bama in 10 days, but that's different. Bama and Michigan aren't the same teams, and you kind of showed it yesterday. But I'm not going to sit here and say Michigan didn't deserve to be there. I mean, everyone's going to say that, and then the fifth team is going to say we belonged in there. Why? Because the fourth team got beat by the best team. I mean, it's an imperfect system. There's no doubt about that.
The best two are there.
The best two are there, and whether the
right. I think go to 8 though.
Oh, I wish they would go to 8. They're so fucking stubborn. They won't do it.
9 never has a beef, right? It's always 5. And I know I get a kick, Portnoy was all over Notre Dame. I saw you liking that tonight on Twitter. They went down in flames. I know that puts a smile on your face. But Michigan did the same fucking thing, right? So if you take Michigan, Notre Dame, you go right down the list and you have 8 guys make it.
8 guys should make it. And they have the time to do it. They have the time to do it. They play all these bowl games that guys opt out of. You know what? If there was a playoff with 8 teams, these guys wouldn't be opting out of these games. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Notre Dame had a 28-7 lead. You hate to see them give up 30 unanswered like that. Oh, it's horrible. It's a terrible thing for poor Notre Dame to lose, another game, big game. They're just not that good. They play a cupcake schedule. They'll play a good team here, good team there, but they'll have 2-3 weeks in between the good teams. Which, go play a conference and then have to get up every week for a good game. There's a difference. That's my opinion.
I feel like the last couple they've done a little because they're playing an ACC schedule, right? Or they did last
year. They did. This year they went back to independent. They got to get in a conference. They're never going to be taken seriously.
I agree with that, but they always lose. 2 years ago it was Georgia. This year it was Cincinnati. Like they just always lose that one big game. Obviously,
they lost to Cincinnati this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's their loss? I was wondering today when I was watching who their loss was. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, no, it was,
so that loss is probably what put Cincinnati in. Cincinnati beat them.
Absolutely.
I'm glad Cincinnati got in. I'm glad that a non-Power 5 finally got in there, and they stuck their nose in. And they, they didn't get their heads kicked in, so it wasn't any worse than what Michigan did. So I'm glad they got in. They got their shot because I look at those schools and I say, what chance do they have? They go out. What more can we do? We go out. We have a 13-game schedule. We win every single game. So what more can we do to get in? Which is why they need the 8. Because then if they have the 8, they can let the Cincinnati in. They can even let another.
Well, this year, if you just go off of AP, right, you had Baylor, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Notre Dame. And then the cutoff would be Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Michigan State's right there. But those teams don't. I mean, those are all teams with 2 losses. Notre Dame, has 2 now. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have Ohio State. It would have. You're right. You'd
have a much more interesting little tournament there, right?
Yes, now. And the opt-outs are awful. I mean, me in the draft, right? The Michigan State Bowl was on. A few days ago, a week ago, and I see it on the guide. I'm like, I'll tune in to watch this kid Walker play. And I'm like, there's no way he's playing. And I Google it, and sure enough, like he's getting ready for the NFL draft, and he opts out. And he's, Doak Walker winner, and you used to be able to watch the bowl games for that, and now it's a complete waste, empty stadiums.
They need to change it. They need to change
until they fix it. It's like why even to win 7 games to get into a bowl that they can't even get real sponsorship across the thing, and then teams pulling out. What happened with the Arizona situation? So I don't. It's for a sport that I think does a lot right. It's you're just every year it's the same 2 teams, right? Or the same 4 teams. I mean, Clemson and LSU have kind of taken a step back, but Alabama's there every year. Georgia, at least the last few years, Clemson and LSU. No one else is going to win national title.
No, they're not. They're not. So I'm looking at the NFL games right now. Looking at that Vegas Indianapolis game. I know Carson Wentz was cleared today, but he needs to tomorrow to have his symptoms either be improving or I'm not really sure because I'm not sure what it was. He's been cleared, but he is not 100%. Oh no, what it was, he's been removed from, they've activated him off the COVID list, but he not cleared to play yet until he shows up tomorrow and his symptoms can be deemed that they're improving.
Well, correct.
So what does that mean? You ask him, do you feel as achy as you did yesterday? And he says no.
And then he plays. He's not gonna sit.
He's gonna play. He's playing. He's gonna play.
He's gonna go out there. I am enjoying the first ever in-season Hard Knocks. I've watched the first 2 episodes on HBO, and Wentz actually is a guy I didn't like a lot prior to this, kind of because of what went down in Philly. He at least 2 episodes in kind of comes across as a guy you kind of pull for. So. And he definitely a guy I think is going to suit up. They've really turned things around, right? They started out 1-4 maybe, and they're 9-6. Right now they've had some decent wins. You're gonna play him. They got crushed last week with COVID. They had, I think, 4 linemen were out, 4 starters. I mean, can you imagine the Patriots going out there without winning?
They didn't have their best defensive players. I don't know how the hell they went out there and won that game, but they did.
It's crazy. But Frank Reich's a guy that I kind of was like, oh, this is a guy taking Josh McDaniels' job that he didn't want. Like, this guy's a clown. I'm actually a fan of his. Kind of 2 episodes in. I tend to get kind of sucked in, to the Hard Knock shows and. Feel pretty good about certain guys, but Reich's a guy. I mean, they got a scrappy team, and they got a team that's kind of built the right way in a lot of the right areas. So if they can pull off that win tomorrow, and the Patriots win, they clinch playoff spot, or do they need Miami to lose as well? They need either.
Either Vegas, if the Patriots win, and then either Vegas or Miami lose, they're in.
Correct.
I'd like to see if Miami, I'd like to see Tennessee just help us out, beat Miami. Tennessee's a 3-point favorite tomorrow at home. They get that done.
The Pats tomorrow night. The Patriots will be in the playoffs.
Pats are 16.5-point favorites. I agree with you. I think either Vegas or Miami will lose. There's actually a decent chance they both lose.
I think they both lose, and
I think the Patriots should win tomorrow. And if they don't win, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
And so it's setting up now. If they don't win, if they somehow lose to Jacksonville, I can't even imagine. But I don't know then what the scenario is. Assuming they win and clinch, it's setting up for because remember, so next weekend there's going to be 2 Saturday games. We just don't know what they are yet. They're going to be announced on Monday. This is the first time they've ever done this and pulled 2 games forward. It's probably not going to be New England because they're going to want the Pats and the Bills to be playing simultaneously because that game will be for the division. If Buffalo wins, they have it. If Buffalo loses and the Pats win, then they will have it.
Yeah, okay.
So those will run at the same time. I haven't looked at all the implications in terms of playoffs.
There's too many things because you got to play this week out. You can't get into all this shit. I mean, I just saw it pass by today. How the Patriots clinch. Obviously them winning first, and then I wasn't sure if they needed both Vegas, but it's just one of them. Okay,
one of the 2. And I will say this: what they've done with the schedule, I think, is genius. Right, the old system, 2 teams made the playoffs. 6 teams made the playoffs. 2 teams got the bye, and that set up a lot of meaningless football the last week of the season. Now, because they've gone to 7 teams make the playoffs, only 1 gets the bye. It's all divisional play typically that last weekend, and they can flex the entire schedule. So you don't have this, these guys go at 1 and they're going to know at 4. They'll just play everyone at 4, right? And
don't they? Isn't it? Yeah, don't they have like all the
entire schedule? The time slots are TBD. They're so I'm going to be in Miami for that game. It's a 1 o'clock game, but they all can be moved. And Monday, the real schedule is going to get announced. And I think the thought process is anyone who's traveling, I mean, we'll be there Saturday. If the game gets moved to Saturday, we'll be there. I don't think it's going to happen.
So I think the only way that would happen is if Miami wins, the Patriots win, and Buffalo wins. And if Miami beats the Patriots, they pass the Patriots.
Yeah.
Because right now Miami's one game behind. If Miami wins, they'll win the tiebreaker. Pats will probably be out.
And if Buffalo loses to Atlanta,
Buffalo loses to Atlanta, then it's the whole division's up for grabs.
Correct.
What do you think in that game? Atlanta's a 14-point dog.
I would take the points, and I hate taking shit teams with points.
Yeah.
I would take Houston points. I would take.
Who's Houston playing? Houston's playing San Fran, 12.5. Yeah.
Rookie quarterback.
Versus rookie quarterback.
Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo's out. The Jets at home against Tampa +13. Maybe no Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin, no Leonard Fournette. And I hate playing these dogs. But if there was the lines, Minnesota +13, although Kirk Cousins is up, that's probably the one I like the least in terms of the dogs.
Yeah.
I'm not pounding these dogs, but if you made me pick.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't take Green Bay -13, but I don't know that and it's the Sunday night game too.
Yeah.
It's just too late to flex it out.
I almost bet that early. I almost did they were going to be one of my 3 teams, and they were like 250. I was like, and I wish I did it now because I think the Lions ballooned up to like -760 or something like that.
It probably is, yeah.
It's like 3 teams, 100 pays like it wins 40. So the lines aren't really. So I don't have one of those this week. I with 3 NFL teams, I did sneak Alabama into one that's already hit, but. Yeah, I don't know Atlanta. I mean, I did hear snow in Buffalo. I really like the futures market right now on Barstool for the awards isn't that great. I think I said this last week, but I really like the MVP odds. First of all, I don't think Mac Jones is going to win Rookie of the Year. I just
not anymore.
After that last game, that ball that he threw going into the end zone that should have been picked. It just a lollipop pass. It was bad. And Chase went out and had a 100-yard game. They won a big game. So I think Chase is going to take that home, which means we had 2 picks. Jamar Chase for Offensive Rookie of the Year +700 and Micah Parsons +320. That's a done deal. And we had Dak Prescott. So the only one we haven't hit on is Defensive Player of the Year. I said Chandler Jones and Judon at different points, both like +1500. They're not going to win.
No.
And but MVP, okay. So the odds to me on MVP just seem really messed up. You have the leader right now is Aaron Rodgers. He's the favorite. So he's -177. He's the leader. Josh Allen is +1400. Like, what am I missing there, right? So Jonathan Taylor's +550. I don't think a running back gets it. Mahomes is +1200. Brady's +600. I don't think Brady's going to get it over Rodgers because it'll be an AFC NFC thing. But why not throw, a little on Allen +1400 and Mahomes +12. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is -177 better than the field. And a lot can change these next 2 weeks. If Josh Allen goes out and runs the table and they become the 1 seed in the AFC, he has just, and I think they still can. Let me just double check that. He's still
Buffalo win the number 1. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so Buffalo's got 6 losses. The Chiefs had 4, so no, Buffalo.
They'd have to lose. Kansas City would have to lose out, and I don't think that.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, they're playing Cincinnati on the road this week. I don't think so.
Yeah, Mahomes hasn't really put up the numbers to be. So I'd probably then just throw it on Allen and hope the voters say, look what this guy's done. Numbers wise. I mean, Allen's numbers are the best. If you look at fantasy stats, he's going to have 2 years in a row now. Josh Allen's led fantasy football at the quarterback position, which usually gets you those MVP awards. the Rodgers thing, I mean, yeah, they're good, but I think the team's good. I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's playing like 177 versus plus 1400 better than Josh Allen right now.
The Patriots are minus 2,000 to make the playoffs.
There's a lot of crazy. So the biggest one I did, you'll love this. The Cowboys to win the division minus 900 a couple weeks back when it was like it was a done deal. It was like, if it's out there, I'd be
take the Ravens when you thought it was a done deal.
Well, that's the only one I missed because the
Buffalo's
going to come back.
That's the only one I took too. After all my other bets evaporated into the
I have them at minus
winners.
Look, I hate to make the excuses. Lamar Jackson's out for 4 weeks.
No, I know.
Kind of falling apart. That's a risk you take. It's kind of like Kyler Murray with the MVP. If Kyler Murray doesn't get hurt and miss 4 games, you don't see this. I don't think you see this Arizona drop that you've seen, and he'd probably be right in the running, right?
Well, luckily, I had the Rams to win that, so that looks good now.
They're my one Super Bowl bet.
Huh?
The Rams are my one Super Bowl bet week 4 to win it all, plus 800.
They looked great back then, and then they kind of fell into this dip, and now they're kind of back up. And Arizona's obviously shit the bed.
Same with Buffalo, right? That Buffalo AFC got as high, and we were all saying it's a done deal. They were like minus 350 when we said it on the show. They got as high as minus 1667. Then they were plus 300 2 weeks ago. And the Pats were a favorite to win the division.
I know
that division has whipsawed.
I know. I mean, I had that Patriots ticket, which looked dead all year, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I'm going to cash this thing. I'm going to hit it, and now that's done. Then I don't think Buffalo's going to lose to Atlanta.
No, the schedule's too easy.
14 points. I wouldn't be shocked to see Atlanta hang around in that game for a while, then pull a typical Atlanta, which is to disappear in the fourth quarter, and probably look like an easy cover most of the day, lose the game, lose the cover. Which is kind of what they're really good at doing that. But that is almost the most heavily bet game of the day, Buffalo, Atlanta. It's a 50-50 ticket split. More money coming in on Buffalo, but line is held. It's an even split. That's surprising. Tampa Bay is getting 85% of the bet at 12.5. So those are the type of things, like you were just saying, 12.5. He's missing a lot of guys. He's up here against the Jets. It's going to be cold. Not that he's not accustomed to playing in cold, but he hasn't done it much in the last 2 years. Missing a lot of the team, but the Jets suck.
They do, but Zach Wilson didn't play that bad last week.
I know, but I kind of agree that do you want to put your faith in these shit teams, and that's because they can hang around for a while,
right?
They can, and then Brady gets the ball in his hand in the fourth quarter. The Jets make their typical Jet mistakes, and then all of a sudden, that 13 points you were getting, now they're outside the number. And now you need them to do something.
Well, and exactly. And to be clear, Zach Wilson looked good. They beat Jacksonville 26-21. I mean, the schedule was a big part of why Zach Wilson looked good.
I know.
I do think you can pass on Tampa. And I don't know if they get the horses, although I would have said that last week with Mike Evans out and Godwin out and Fournette, and they blew who they played. Carolina last week destroyed them.
Can't remember who they played, but I remember thinking the same thing.
I think, at Carolina, 32.
But I also thought he's got he's got a week now. He knows who's in, he knows who's not in. They'll build their plan around it, and it worked. They were at home though last week, so now they're on the road. Yeah, the Jets, and the Jets are going to want to beat Brady, so they'll be.
Last week was in Carolina. Cam Newton was 7 for 13.
That's right. That's what I said. But can you trust Cam Newton to score a point? I mean, and I liked Cam Newton when he was here. I rooted for the guy, and I rooted for him in Carolina. He's so bad.
No,
he's so bad. He went 0-5 as a starter this year. I mean, Carolina was in it. He couldn't even win a game for them to keep them in it.
I know.
Yeah, so I don't know who I'm going to take tomorrow. And I think I like Tennessee minus the 3 at home. I'm toying with the idea of Atlanta, but I haven't sold myself on that yet. There's another game out there. There's another one out there that I kind of liked. The Rams are 6-point favorites at Baltimore, but that's because they don't have a quarterback. But I don't know. Denver Chargers 7.5. Divisional game. Could be a tight.
I like the Chargers there.
Yeah, it's a good tease number though. You're at 7.5. Good tease number. You can take it down to 1. That
Yeah,
might be
I just
might be the way to
Jerry
play that
Jeudy's out. Bobby Massey, the right tackle's out for Denver. Drew Lock is awful.
Yeah.
So I do like the Chargers there. The Chargers are 8-7, so it's a big game for them. I just love what the NFL's done. I mean, I've never remembered a year with 2 weeks ago where like nothing's clinched. How many years did like Peyton Manning not dress for 3 weeks because they had the 1 seed locked up, right? Or like you have none of that going on. I mean,
yeah, the Colts would claim that stuff early in that division. There was no one really to challenge them in that division. They'd be 14-2 or whatever, and they'd have it all locked up.
Right, and so that extra team basically, if you allow 7 teams, then the 3 teams that are outside looking in are all within striking distance. So now you basically have like 90% of the AFC that still thinks they have hope. I mean, you look at Cleveland, right? Cleveland's playing Pittsburgh. I think they're still mathematically alive. Pittsburgh's alive at 7-1. That's going to be a good game. The Lions, Seattle's the trash game of the week, right? 2 wins and 5 wins. The Saints can still get in. Packers are playing for home field. The Niners are still can get in. Rams and Ravens is a good game. Bucks are right behind Green Bay for home field. Indy's there. The Raiders have a chance. The Raiders are 8-7. I don't think they're going to get in. Bengals could get in. The Bills, we know what they're playing for. I mean, Tennessee's there. I mean, every game, with the exception of Seattle and Detroit, every game you can at least talk yourself into like, hey, this actually means something. And I never remember an NFL schedule with 2 weeks to go where you say that. Away from the COVID stuff where you don't know who's going to miss the game randomly, right?
Well, that's the only other thing. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking at right now. It's kind of, it is tough to look at these COVID things, and
we just don't know. It's a random. It's like this guy's going to wake up and they're going to test positive and he's out. And now you're within the 5-day window, so it doesn't really matter. And
that's what they said. I just saw today. 50 plus guys have been released out of COVID. Now on Monday they had this big thing. It was the biggest day ever. They had over 100 people added to the COVID list, but more than half of them have been released because of these shorter time frame now.
I think that's a little screwy. I mean, I know they're going off of the CDC thing, but to change the rules mid-season, you've had teams that had 10 days and they had to adhere to 10. Then you change it to 5 because it's getting to be crunch time and you don't want to lose your superstars. I just, from a competition standpoint, like if I'm the Saints, I'd be bullshit, right? Because Taysom Hill missed that game against Miami because of the 10-day rule. Yeah. And if the 5-day rule is in play, Taysom Hill plays in that game. That's a game that very well could keep the Saints from making the playoffs. And I don't like changing the rules midstream. I don't care what the CDC says. Like the league should just have a rule, be like, this is the way it's going to be. It's the way it's going to be for everyone. And if Pat Mahomes wakes up with COVID, then he's out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to think. It's changes. It doesn't, I don't know. There's just differences all over the place.
Well, I'm with you with hockey. I mean, you got to complete legit, beef there with what hockey's doing, especially with these other sports that are playing. It's the hypocrisy. How about this? All weekend long, I'm getting like Mass State Lottery tweets about player scratch tickets, but we can't go to Encore and make a couple of sports bets. I mean, it's insane. But I can go to the corner store and drop, $3,000 in scratchies and no one cares.
As much as you want.
Right.
Cash only, though. They don't take credit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you got to go in there, but they don't care how many you buy. You can buy as many as you want. Yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy everywhere, and it's all about who's putting money in their pocket. I mean, we know that. All right. So we got a lot to digest there. You got a lot of plays. You got to tweet that out.
I'm going to tweet them out. And then depending on how that night game goes, I'll probably do Sunday night and Monday night kind of stand alone.
Yeah. Okay.
As like I did last week. When there's nothing, this is just my favorite time of year. Fantasy football. I'm going to get another fantasy football title game. I went back and calculated this chart. I've been doing this as long as 1992 was my first year. So we went back, Joey and I went back. We did the calculations, the 2 main leagues. we've been in the title game over 25% of the years we've played,
Wow.
and probably won 20%. So we get another big one. Heavy favorites coming into this weekend. I end up with Najee Harris on Monday night if it comes down to that. So we'll see. So that's always a nice payday if we hit those. But this is the time to just, like you said, just sit back. The weather sucks, and fire the place. Have you sold any sweatshirts yet?
No, I haven't attempted to. I have not yet. I'm dealing. I should get the hats. I'm hoping by the end of this week. Then I want to get those all out and taken care of. Then once we do that, if anybody wants sweatshirts, I'll try to get a price for them because I didn't buy this. Somebody sent it to me, so I don't know how much it'll cost. We'll
so
see.
I did manage to get my hands on a ticket for the Mr. Ice Barstool sweatshirt.
Where did you?
5 to 6 weeks. I mean, are they spinning the fucking cotton? I understand.
Elio's got to sew the damn thing. That's what he's doing right now. He's got a needle and thread, and he's sewing.
5 to 6 weeks. I wanted to have the thing in a box for tonight. I'm like, what is going on? Right? 5 to 6 weeks. I get they don't want to pre-print them, but Jesus, like this isn't that difficult to pull off.
It's the supply chain shortage.
Yeah. Well, I'll have one.
You'll have one for
and I got to get a turkey.
potentially the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, that would be nice to debut. I tried to get my hands on a second. I thought it'd be fun if we could do a giveaway on one. But I couldn't drive all the way down. I was able to drive to New Jersey. Virginia was too far. I couldn't get down there and put the bet in. So
I imagine that's true.
So just one. But,
all right,
Turk.
Right, tweet those out, and we'll get those played for tomorrow. And let's have a big Sunday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we'll see you.